Um, but yeah, all right, guys. I guess that's gonna wrap up our news. For this episode. We do have one last segment of the show that this will hopefully be a regular thing on the show. We have a topic for the episode, kind of like a big thing that we want to focus our attention on. Um, this topic, this was actually one of the news pieces as well, but we really want to bring a little bit more of an attention to it because it's kind of a big news piece. But basically, uh, so there's a news that came out earlier this week on Monday. At the time of this recording, it came out on Monday, September 26th, and the news is that apparently, now I don't know what this is. The news says this is Amazon UK, not necessarily Amazon Global. So I
Those
don't.
Brits.
Yeah, so I don't know if this is only situated in the UK or if it's also in America or what have you. But Amazon UK has revealed that PlayStation VR pre-orders that they received may not be fulfilled until December 12th, which would be about 2 months after the virtual reality gaming headset is released. So basically, it was initially believed that Amazon would issue PlayStation VR devices on a first come, first served basis, but now it appears that they didn't have sufficient stock to meet the number of customer pre-orders that they cut off. So here's a quote from Amazon. It says, "Due to limited stock, we are only able to offer 1 unit per customer per address. You will be notified via email of the expected delivery date closer to the time. We will be fulfilling customer orders in the order in which they were placed and expect to fulfill all customer pre-orders by December 12th, 2016. This product comes with a UK plug and therefore may not be suitable for use outside of the UK." On the flip side, Game is a UK store, right? For you guys? Yeah,
Yes.
I don't think that's in America. We don't have Game, but
I don't think anymore. They were in. I think they were in America at one point.
really?
Were
Oh
they?
shit.
Uh,
I don't
maybe,
know.
maybe I don't. I don't unless they did ship to America at one point.
Huh.
Uh, but I think maybe because of the administration, the game isn't as big as it used to be. Like they
Right.
went to administration a couple of years ago, and they've kind of like suffered really heavily, and they shut down a lot of stores.
Oh, okay.
But they are still technically the biggest gaming retailer on the high street.
Okay. So
So
they're
people, so the people who still got on the high street.
they're kind of like a GameStop, I guess.
Yeah, effectively. Yeah, I
Okay.
simplify that. Effectively, yeah, they are equivalent. Same as like same with like trading policies as well. They're fucking stingy on that as well. But like, yeah, they are
Right.
GameStop. It's almost
Okay.
like Walmart. Walmart's equivalent is Asda here.
Right. Okay.
Walmart owns Asda, but like equivalent sake, that'll be it.
Okay, cool, cool. All right, good to know. But well, anyway, in relation to the news, Game came out and they're like, we're confident that we'll be able to supply pre-order to customers at launch. So, provided you got your name down early enough, that's what they said. So, yeah, that's kind of like the whole thing. PlayStation VR is coming out October 13th, and it's out there, and apparently, if you got on Amazon, I guess you might be screwed over, unless you were like really early. But yeah, so we kind of wanted to dedicate a whole topic to this because, dude, how crazy is it that this is happening in the year 2016? You would think that all retailers would have learned from the incident that was Xbox 360 back in 2005, with not being able to meet demand. Like, it's crazy this is happening, like, in this year, that this is still an issue.
Yeah, I think like to be honest, I think it's the thing. The problem is the fact that it's VR, and I
Hmm.
think they don't understand like what there. It's almost done that kind of space, that eco space where it's like, is it a novelty? Is it going to be the next technological revolution? And they've kind of like just haven't been as on top of it as they should have been.
Right.
I think this kind of like that's why it's kind of coming back to hurt now, where they're realizing how detrimental it is. It's more worrying the fact that it's Amazon A, which is like where like I would order all my games from, or Game or something like that. It's a big site, and I expect because like the prices you pay anyway, and then the fact that you have to put like sometimes you have to pay extra money to get the first day delivery, and then you can't rectify that because you're saying that, oh, maybe we might not be able to meet it. It's kind of like bad on their side. And the fact they
Right.
haven't like offered anything as like like as a a bonus, say like, oh yeah, we'll give you £20 Amazon vouchers or something as like kind of an apology. At the same time, it's a bit unfair as well because like it might be a big retail, but it doesn't mean you can just walk over people.
Yeah.
In terms of like policies like this, it kind of causes massive problems. Um, kind of cause massive problems between customers and thinking. But it's just strange though because like when you told me this, I was like, wait, what? Like Amazon isn't keeping on top of like shipping PlayStation VR out to people in the UK. I'm like, wait, this is bizarre. I wonder what's
Yeah.
going on behind there. They must have really effed up somewhere in the systems
Yeah.
to kind of cause
Like,
that problem. It's as simple as I can put it.
I mean, dude, I remember there's two instances where I remember this happening. Here in I don't know if it happened in the UK, but in the US, the two that I remember was PlayStation 2 and Xbox 360. That PS2, dude, I remember PS2 was so ridiculous. They had promised, I think they had initially said, we're going to ship 250,000 units day one, something like that. And then I think they were like, actually, we only have 10,000 now. Or so, it was something ridiculous like that to the point that I remember my Walmart, because remember I lived in a really small town at the time, and all we had was a Walmart. I think they got one PS2, one fucking PS2. I think that's all they had. And I remember what I did was I drove to Dothan, Alabama, which was like 40 minutes away from where I used to live. And I went to a GameStop there because there wasn't a GameStop in the town I lived. That's how small it was. So I'd drive 40 minutes to the nearest GameStop, and I think they had this thing where they're like, if you like, we don't have any consoles, but we'll allow you to pre-order our next shipment, which I'd never heard of that. And they're like, if you get the next shipment, you'll be guaranteed a PS2. You just have to buy it in advance. So it was so weird, and I think that's how I got my PS2. And I didn't get a 360 at launch, so I don't remember the craziness that was there. But I did work at a GameStop a year after the 360 launch when PS3 and Wii was launching, and the manager that worked there was like, "Okay, we're only allowing 10 pre-orders on both consoles." And I'm like, "Wow, really? Only 10?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Why only 10? What's up with that?" And she said,
Mm.
"You didn't work here when 360 happened." I'm like, "What happened when 360 happened?" She's like, "It was bad." I'm like, "How bad?" She's like, "I'll tell you how bad. 30 pre-orders. We only got two consoles." Or something. It
Mm.
was like some insane number like that, like the equivalent. And I remember thinking, wow, so you're being optimistic by saying 10. She's like, oh, yeah. And sure enough, there was like, I think we were able to fill the 10, but it was like super, like, like by the chin on our hair. So, or the hair on our chin. So, yeah, dude, it's just incredible this is still happening. I didn't have any issues with PS4 or with any of the consoles I got in the last 3 years. So that's nuts. But this happens with these console manufacturers, or in this case VR. Like it's expensive to produce, and I guess Amazon just assumed we're gonna be fine, and they weren't.
Yeah, I understand that. Like, it makes more. Um, yeah, it's just it's a bit so strange. Because I mean, like, obviously the console launch is a bit more kind of convenient though, because like retail ship them and they have them in
Right.
stock and everything else. But obviously Amazon's more of like a warehouse shipping off to different places. It's so strange though because like this is something the massive hiccup you don't want with PlayStation VR. You want the momentum to be full on it before as it launches.
Yeah.
Uh, it's so strange. It's so strange hearing the entire thing.
Yeah. I know it's a bummer. I mean, it really is. But I mean, hopefully to those of you listening, if you live in the UK and, find Adnan. No, I'm kidding. But if you live in the UK, I hope you get if you order from Amazon, I hope you guys get it because that is a bummer. I'm not getting a VR I'm not getting a VR because I'm not really sold on the concept quite yet. I just feel like, it's going to be another PlayStation move and but it seems really cool. But on the flip side, the more realistic side, I don't have the money for that. I just had a baby. I'm buying diapers. I don't have money for, things like that. I mean, I would like to get an NX, but we'll see whenever Nintendo announces that. But yeah, so that's kind of like, that's the topic, I suppose. I don't really have too much else to add, and I guess
Yeah,
that's our first show. That's our, I guess you could call it our pilot. That's it.
that's true. The pilot.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a John Travolta, Uma Thurman moment talking about pilots.
Oh man.
Um, But yeah, that's probably it for this week's episode. Again, we're in very much early stages of like launching this podcast and finding our way for it. But thank you for joining us. We're all our content again. I kind of need to clarify this off a bit more, but we're all our content is on YouTube.
Yep.
We have a YouTube dedicated channel, which is Podcast Go, which you'll be listening to this podcast on now. You can follow us on Twitter and Facebook, Podcast Go. You can go find those links, and there should be in the description. I'll make sure Chris puts them in the description.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, we'll see you next week, guys. Take care. So, hey, Adnan, you want to hear a joke?
Go for it.
All right. So, because, we're talking about pilots and Uma Thurman and John Travolta. So, Mama Tomato and Tomato are like walking together, right? And Baby Tomato is lagging behind. So, Papa Tomato turns around and steps on Baby Tomato. And you know what he says?
What does he say?
Catch up.
Oh, oh.
I'm kidding. All right, I'll cut it off there.